How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, aka AOC, alleging that her Republican colleague from Florida, Ted Yoho, verbally assaulted her on the steps of the Capitol in Washington, D.C. Now, there's a whole lot to quote-unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say, but first, I got to back up a little bit here to give you some context into the whole situation. Then we get into the videos that both of them made, giving their side of the story. Now, Ted Yoho approached AOC on the steps of the Capitol to talk about what's happening right now in New York with unemployment and the very high crime rate. Now, I don't know exactly what was said, all of the exact, I don't have a transcript of the whole conversation, but at a certain point, Ted Yoho allegedly said to AOC, "You're out of your mind," and called her disgusting. Then as he left, like walking away from AOC, he allegedly said effing B. Now, as a result of that, Ted Yoho is accused of being misogynistic and anti-woman. You don't like people of color, all this, that, and the third. Now, before I go any further, let's roll a couple of clips. The first one will be what AOC said on the House floor after what Ted Yoho said on the House floor, because he addressed it from all the news reports, and then she addressed his addressing because I guess he didn't apologize properly enough. After we get done watching those clips, I'll come back. I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
About 2 days ago, I was walking up the steps of the Capitol when Representative Yoho suddenly turned a corner, and he was accompanied by Representative Roger Williams, and accosted me on the steps right here in front of our nation's Capitol. I was minding my own business, walking up the steps, and Representative Yoho put his finger in my face. He called me disgusting. He called me crazy. He called me out of my mind. And he called me dangerous. And then he took a few more steps, and after I had recognized his comments as rude, he walked away and said, "I'm rude. You're calling me rude." I took a few steps ahead, and I walked inside and cast my vote, because my constituents send me here each and every day to fight for them and to make sure that they are able to keep a roof over their head, that they're able to feed their families, and that they're able to carry their lives with dignity. I walked back out, and there were reporters in the front of the Capitol, and in front of reporters, Representative Yoho called me, and I quote, "a fucking bitch." These are the words that Representative Yoho levied against a congresswoman, the congresswoman that not only represents New York's 14th congressional district, but every congresswoman and every woman in this country, because all of us have had to deal with this in some form, some way, some shape, at some point in our lives.
Mr. Speaker, I stand before you this morning to address the strife I injected into the already contentious Congress. I have worked with many members in this chamber over the past 4 terms, members on both sides of the aisle, and each of you know that I'm a man of my word. So let me take a moment to address this body. I rise to apologize for the abrupt manner of the conversation I had with my colleague from New York. It is true that we disagree on policies and visions for America, but that does not mean we should be disrespectful. Having been married for 45 years with 2 daughters, I'm very cognizant of my language. The offensive name-calling words attributed to me by the press were never spoken to my colleagues, and if they were construed that way, I apologize for their misunderstanding. As my colleagues know, I'm passionate about those affected by poverty. My wife, Carolyn, and I started out together at the age of 19 with nothing. We did odd jobs, and we were on food stamps. I know the face of poverty, and for a time it was mine. That is why I know people in this country can still, with all its faults, rise up and succeed and not be encouraged to break the law. I will commit to each of you that I will conduct myself from a place of passion and understanding, that policy and political disagreement be vigorously debated with the knowledge that we approach the problems facing our nation with the betterment of the country in mind and the people we serve. I cannot apologize for my passion or for loving my God, my family, and my country. I yield back.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, I'm not really sure where to begin. Let's start with the elephant in the room here. AOC is trying to come off as the victim. This is what the left does. They throw the stone and then hide their hand. They can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, and then as soon as they get attacked, as soon as they get any kind of kickback against them at all, even if it's not a direct attack, then they want to play victim. Oh, I'm a woman, person of color, woe is me, all this, that, and the third. And it was not just AOC giving the 10-minute spiel. It was also a couple of her friends in the so-called squad, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. And if you want to see all of their full clips, I'll link to that in the description box below. But they're saying all the same thing, woman of color, racist, white man, Republican, conservative, all this and that and the third. All right. And they're alleging that he said the words effing B. Now, in the video I showed you from Ted Yoho, he denies this. He didn't deny having the conversation where it could have got heated, and that's fine. If you call her disgusting or, whatever, aside from the cussing, even with the cussing, is that really that bad? I mean, you're talking about the House, the Senate, politics in general. This is not a clean game. This is not a thing you can just go into and get treated with kid gloves. It's not really how that works at all. Okay, I've seen some really nasty things out there. Okay, especially when it's from the left to the right. With Trump, you got guys locked up, lives ruined financially, socially, all that kind of stuff because they want to get Trump in jail or out of office. And guys who were totally innocent, people like Roger Stone and everybody else, guys that would never get charged with a crime under any other circumstances, are having their lives ruined because of politics. So you're mad about, some harsh language. You're disgusting and you're out of your mind. Is that enough to talk about how you're a victim? And then to allege this whole thing about your effing B. I mean, that's an allegation. You're just saying that. He's not saying he did it. Do you have it on tape? Do you have it on audio? You're just saying that that's what it is. And people are believing you and you want to ride on that whole thing. It could have been a misunderstanding. I remember Kelly McEnany had an incident like this recently. It might have been yesterday, a couple of days ago, where a reporter allegedly called her a lying bee. Check this out.
As you asked me about this, so I'm going to answer. So for a month, they've been collecting ballots with no postmark date. And in fact, what they found is 19% of ballots have been rejected in Queens, 28% rejected in Brooklyn. There are questions about mass mail-out voting. And I know you don't want to hear them, which is why you talk over me, but I encourage you to read the op-ed. Yes.
On the China vaccine research, this
yes.
is very
You've gotten
important.
two questions, which is more than some of your colleagues. Yes.
Thank you, Kaylee. So
okay, you don't want to engage.
Now, the reporter said, I did not say lying B. I said, oh, you don't want to engage. And when you hear the clip, you could hear lying B or you don't want to engage. You could hear either one. I can't really tell which one it is, so I have no way of knowing if what I heard is what I thought it was from the beginning, which is lying B. All right. But in this case, we have videotape, audio tape. It's not manipulated. And we have the reporter saying what they actually did say at that moment. All right. Ted Yoho saying, I did not say that at all. So who do you actually believe? The general media, the left, the lamestream media, they want to believe AOC all day because she's a woman, person of color, liberal Democrat. That's all that really matters. If it was the same situation, but the roles are reversed, like let's say AOC came up to Ted Yoho, called him effing B and all this and that and the third, that'd be seen as courageous, girl power, all this and that. And my thing is, okay, if you want equality, if we're going to be on the same page with each other, let's not have it be so selective. You enforce equality only when it makes sense for one side to benefit, not all sides. Equality literally means everybody's on the same page, not just, oh, over here, you're put on the pedestal and you're judged differently than everybody else. That's not how that should be. All right. And then she went into AOC, that is, went to attack Ted Yoho for talking about he's married 45 years, which is a very long time. Very impressive, sir, with 2 daughters. I mean, that's something. If you've been married for that long and you got 2 daughters and AOC said that she is younger than his oldest daughter by 2 years. If that's going on, you understand how to talk and you understand social cues and stuff like that. You're not going to just be some kind of misogynist pig or whatever. That's just not the case. All right. You don't stay married for that long and have kids and just be like the scum of the earth. That's not really how that goes. She's trying to paint him in a way that there's no evidence of him being like that. Now, is it possible he is that way? Yes. Where's the evidence? The media are dogpiling on Ted Yoho without any kind of evidence other than what AOC says. Okay. Some reporters are right there, but come on, they're going to pretty much back up whatever AOC says, from the left, especially. That's pretty much how that goes. So even if he did say the FNB or whatever, I mean, she's from New York, right? AOC. I'm sure she hears worse on the subway, if she rides the subway anymore, from her constituents. Speaking of the constituents, I mean, the conversation was about New York, about the spike in crime and the unemployment. Shouldn't that actually be what you focused on rather than talking about, what word somebody said, or I felt offended, or I was attacked as a woman, or I'm a victim, rather than trying to be a victim and engage in the victimhood narrative? Shouldn't your focus be about your constituents? Okay. I'm sure the people that live where you are, in charge of don't like you too much. Some are going to, and some are not. Quite a few are not because of what you've been doing since you've been there. You drove Amazon away. That could have been thousands of jobs and millions, if not billions of dollars for your area. But you drove them away because, they're a big corporate giant, all this, that, and the third. It's like, okay, well, look, corporate giant or no corporate giant, you're talking about money and jobs. Like, what are you even doing? Is there any replacement? Is there any kind of little small mom and pop shop that has no money or whatever that can bring in that kind of jobs and resources and general monies that Amazon can? I'm trying to figure that out. All right. So you drove them away. Where's your actual plan for any kind of job development in your particular area? What are we really going to do? Okay. I don't see what AOC has done for the constituency that would warrant this type of, high elevation. The whole victimhood narrative is getting kind of old. AOC is running really thin, and the games that the squad are playing are pretty transparent at this particular point in time. They want to come off as victims and try to attack the big bad white man, orange man, all this and that and the third. It's all about politics. It's not really about how they feel or about trying to appeal to anybody. It's just about politics playing into a bigger game. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that AOC was correct to give that 10-minute or so long speech on the House floor about, misogyny and attacking women, all this, that, and the third? If her and Ted Yoho had a confrontation, then that should be that. I have those every single day on the internet. All right. I don't mind confrontations. It's part of what makes things good. You actually have like sanctioned debates. Things kind of go off the rails. You got these roast dinners. Things kind of go off the rails. Okay. I didn't seen much worse every day, just in general politics, just on the news. I feel like in Congress, you probably have these kinds of conversations regularly in between people, but rarely does one side go and cry to the press or cry on the House floor about a general conversation. AOC should focus on her constituents and their lack of necessities that they must have to get by on an everyday basis, rather than trying to attack Ted Yoho and men in general or misogyny in general. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.